Ahoy, everybody. Ryan Foland here. And in this lesson, we are going to do a semi-deep dive into the business model canvas. If you're interested in going a little bit deeper of a dive, you can go on the Entrepreneur Center YouTube channel. And I actually have a playlist of 9 individual videos that I go a little bit deeper. So this is going to be a good high-level exposure. My goal is to get this video to, say, 10 minutes. I'm going to try to stay maybe a minute on each. And if you want to go even deeper of a dive, there are so many amazing videos on YouTube, and you can watch Alexander Osterwalder, and you have all these people that have basically shared how they put the business model canvas together. Here we go. Ready, set, share. Business model canvas, it is a way to look at just the 9 necessary components of your business. And if you are going to pitch your business, it uniquely will be your own. And that's why pitch is in an art form. And this is a canvas. It's going to help with your elevator pitch. It's going to help with communicating with investors. And at the end of the day, it will help you know exactly what you need to do to get your canvas shipshape so that you have all of your stuff together to get out there and take it to the next step. Remember, you can theorize about this. You can watch this video, but it is only until you get your hands dirty that you fully understand it. And then you teach it to somebody else full circle. The first thing we're going to talk about are the value propositions and the customer segments. Now we're going to start right in the middle of the canvas. Start in the middle. The middle is the value proposition, and I like to think of it as a coin with the value proposition on one side. You flip the coin over, and that's the problem that you solve. So value proposition, flip the coin, problem that you solve, they are 2 sides of the same coin. And as you know, I think people care more about the problem that you solve. So here's your chance to articulate your value. Now, value propositions are what get people excited about what you do. It's not necessarily the idea or the widget that you've created. It's about the problem that you're solving. And so in this box, what you're communicating is the need that you're satisfying for the customer. And people only care about the problem that you solve. So your problem that you solve, I believe, is your value proposition. I could talk about this all day. You might be thinking, but what about this AI technology that I've done? That's not necessarily what they care about, okay? They care about the problem that your technology solves. Okay, now we're going to move over. We're going to jump over to one section. This section is the customer segments. These are your different customer avatars. Are you marketing to the parent or the child or both? Are you marketing towards a certain demographic, a certain age group, a certain region? This is where you put all of that together and you brainstorm it. All right, customer segments. We talked about this in class the other day, the difference between potential and target markets. You want to understand your target markets because you need to know how to get in front of them, and eventually you can understand your market potential. When you think of target market, think of geographic, social, demographic, age, income, and why they would buy. Okay, who are they? And sometimes we get excited about our ideas, but we need to be excited about about who we're actually solving this problem for. So your value proposition exists to help serve customers. So here we go. Value propositions over to the customer segments. But as you see, they're far away from each other. So what we want to do is we want to connect them, and we connect them through channels. Oh, this guy shrunk up here. So your value proposition gets to your customer segments through your channels. Now, what are channels? It's the channels in which you find your customers. Think about this matrix where it's you and the customer. How do they find you? There are physical channels where you're driving by and you might be hungry and you're like, oh, I see that there's food there. A physical channel is like the signage or the way that you see it. There could be web or mobile channels, and this is likely something that you should think about. You also have the internet, you have social media, you have certain pockets and communities. You have certain places like Ring Road that maybe you can find your customers. But your goal is to help identify these channels. So we've got value proposition, customer segments, you find them through the channels, and then once you get them, you need to keep them. And so this is a perfect little circle here. Your value proposition goes through the channels, gets to your customers, but then what? You have to keep the relationship. And customer relationships is huge. How do you get your customers? How do you keep them? And how do you grow them? You want people to fall in love with your product, your service. Sometimes you can keep in touch with people through newsletters. That's what we do at the Entrepreneur Center. We send a community newsletter so everybody sees what's going on. You can use social media, you can have a podcast, you can do a number of things, but you have to keep in touch with them if you want to continue to grow. There's a double-sided funnel that we can dive into later, but it basically represents how you get customers, how you keep them, and how you grow them. There are both mobile channels and there are physical channels. And so understanding how to keep them helps you to keep the viral loop. Value propositions to customer segments, connect them through the channels, keep the customers with the customer relationships. Then, guess what? Figure out your revenue model. And this means how much you want to charge. How are you charging? What is a freemium model? Do you pay for the whole thing? Is it a subscription? This is what you're trying to figure out. In the revenue model, you should get creative with it. There are some standardized things, but how do you make money? This is what you're answering. How do you make money from your customer segments, right? What is the value that you're providing to them? Now, there are different strategies. You have different types of revenue models for business to business, direct to consumer, affiliate marketing, things like that. And with your pricing, there's lots of tactics: monthly, freemium, subscription, yearly, but you get to decide that price tag. And it should be a fun exercise to do so. Next bucket, I'm going to go back so we can see here. Value propositions, customer segments, channels to get there, customers to keep them, revenue model. And what's cool about this whole side, think of this as a stage. These buckets, this 5, this is the front stage. No matter who you're talking to, you should be able to articulate the problem that you're solving in a value proposition type of way. You should be able to know who your customers are. You should be able to explain how you get them, how you keep them, and how you charge them. So now we're going behind the stage. We're going back to the backstage. And key resources is something you need to think about, part of every business model. So what are the most important assets that you are requiring? Do you need money? Remember, you don't always need money all the time up front. What about physical assets? Do you need 3D printers? Do you need manufacturing? What about intellectual assets? Are you able to patent this project that you're working on? Are there human assets? What does your team look like? This all fits under the key assets. I'm sorry, the key resources. So the key resources are only matched by your key activities. The difference is what you need to have, which are your resources, and what you need to do, which are your activities. And the reality is, as a startup, you have so much stuff to do, but you have to think about the most important priorities. So many people get stuck in just activity and not productivity, but that's a different video. What are the most important activities that you're doing? If you're building a product, then you've got production. If you are developing something that is driven with technology, you got to understand how you're solving the problem. There might be a supply chain management you might need to think about. Value propositions to customer segments. Get them through the channels, keep them through the customer relationships. Know how you charge them with your revenue model. Understand your key resources, what you need to have. Understand your key activities, what you need to do. And the next bucket is one of the most important buckets there are: partnerships. I was in an event yesterday and there was a VC panel. It's on our live stream if you want to check it out. They were talking about partnerships and they referred to themselves as partners. Johnson Johnson was there. They're like, we would be a partner at a certain point. You're a startup, you cannot do this alone. Partnerships are part of every business model. If you're launching a product at UCI, then guess what? Maybe the Entrepreneur Center could be a partner. Partners can help you find your customers. Partners can help you build relationships. Partners can help open up new channels. And so partnerships is such a skeleton key if you're thinking about it. So think about who key partners are. Think about joint ventures that you can form. Think about strategic alliances. Think about if you are doing some sort of buying, how you can create some sort of synergy. What resources are you acquiring? Maybe your partners can help you out with that. And then what activities do they perform? Maybe you can help them out with that. So at the end of the day, partnerships are a huge part, especially in the early stage, as you gather momentum in order to move your idea forward. We're getting to the final bucket here. Do you think you know what it is? Think about it. You've got your value proposition. You have your customer segments. You get there through the channels. You keep the customer somehow. You know how you charge them. You know what you need to have. You know what you need to do. You know who you need to try to work with. And the final one is how much it costs. And guess what? If it costs less money than the money that you're bringing in, your business is profitable. If it costs as much money as you're making, you're neutral. And if it costs more than the money you're bringing in, well, it's not going so well, is it? Cost structure is really your cost. You have fixed costs and you have variable costs. You can really keep those costs low. What are the minimum costs that you can operate? When you understand economies of scale, if you're doing some production, the more units you produce, usually the price is lower. But if you only need one t-shirt, that's going to be pretty expensive. Think about the costs that are important to keep you alive and the other ones that you can hustle or just scramble through and just be scrappy startup. What are the most expensive resources that you have? And then find out how you can get them for free. Maybe a partner can help you out. Maybe we can help you out. Instead of buying a 3D printer, come to the center and 3D print. Understand your percentage of budget. Think about finance. We have Finance Fridays on every Friday at 12 p.m. Queen Ruby shares, and it's an open forum for discussion. And think about the activities that are super expensive, because all of this is your cost. You've made it through. We're in the final stretch, and we're going to go through them one more time. I want to remind you that this exercise is one of the most important things you can do at the start. People are very smart. You're very smart. But here's the reality. You can do the right things in the wrong order, and you can get no traction. Let me say that again. You can do the right things, but do them in the wrong order, and then you don't get traction. It's only when you do the right things in the right order that things work out. And so if you think through your business model canvas at the beginning, at the start, it is one of the best things you can do because you can help to articulate with clarity where you're at right now. Now I have this little flag theory. Let me see if I can throw it in real quick. If I take a flag and I stick it in the ground, I go, this flag is waving right here. It's in my face. It's windy with the Santa Ana winds. But what does it mean about right here when I stick a flag? It means that I own it. This is mine. This land, this area, this is mine. I planted my flag. Well, when I ask somebody, what is your business model? And they tell me something that either is not their business model or they're just confused, they haven't taken the flag and planted it in the ground. Going through the business model canvas. The reason why we're making you do this as part of this course, as part of this challenge, is because it's good for you to do up front because it decides where you stick your flag. So your value proposition, think about it. What problem are you solving? Stick the flag in the ground. There it is. Define it. Now, if you go to a mentor and you want to ask for advice, you can say, this is my problem. What do you think about it? Not, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Each one of these buckets, you want to take a flag and you want to plant it in there. And you want to say, this is our best guess right now. And then you get feedback and you realize it might not be the best, or it's not the best way to charge, or something is more expensive, or customer segments need to change. And you say, thank you for that insight. They go away. You look at your flag, you consider the new information, you pluck the flag, you move it into the new position, and you solidify it, and that's now where it is. So the business model canvas will help evolve as all of these buckets evolve. Let's go one more time through them, and then we're going to shut this thing down, and you can do the deep dive when you're ready. First bucket, value proposition / problem that you solve, right in the middle. Then you figure out who your customer segments are. But how do you get to them? You got to find your channels. And once you know how to get in front of your customers and they buy your product or download your technology, then what? You've got to keep those customers, because it's way easier to sell to an existing customer than to get a new one. The cost of acquisition of a new customer can be very, 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 very high. So once you get them, you want to keep them. Then you got to really figure out and lock in how you're charging. What are you charging? What does this monetary mechanism look like? So you got the front stage handled. This is all the stuff that publicly you're going to have to share. But behind the scenes, you need to know the resources that you need. You need to know exactly what you need to have. You also need to know what you need to do. And those are your key activities. So programming might be part of it. Marketing might be part of it. These are the key things to keep you in business. But remember, no one can do it alone. And that's why you need partnerships. Partnerships will help to keep your ship alive because they're established and there's a great brand halo and they can help to support and you can tap into their customer base, all these things. And the final one, you got to figure out how much it costs. And if the cost structure allows it so that it costs less than you make, boom, you're in business. Congratulations. This may seem like a lot, but it's only 9 boxes. And if you think about the overwhelmingness of what it is to start a business or to be an entrepreneur, if I told you for any given idea that solves a problem, all you have to do is really focus on 9 key buckets. It doesn't seem that bad anymore, does it? It is valuable to go through this exercise. However, this being the AI innovation course, we obviously need to talk briefly about AI's role in business model development, and it really is impactful. We're going to share with you one of the sponsors of our AI innovation course, Spark Rockets, and it'll blow your mind because all this work that we in the past used to have to do manually, now there is software for it. And Spark Rockets can take a prompt of an idea and basically in less than 2 minutes get you the information it thinks that you need. Granted, you have to verify, but it's a great starting point. In fact, you can go to ChatGPT, you can explain your idea and then have it help you understand how to articulate the business model canvas. You can use Claude, you can use ZotGPT, you can use it all. But at the end of the day, your ability to think through, understand, take a stab at, stick a flag in each one of these will help you to communicate what you do. And that can translate to an elevator pitch. And that can translate to a 5-minute pitch. And that can translate to whatever size of the 313 sandwiches that you're after. Because pitching is an art form. And if you're pitching a business, I'm going to say you should draft out a version on the business model canvas because it will help keep you aware of how everything relates to each other. And to those of my friends in this class who are in track 2, this is all super important for you as well. Because if you are going to be an employee into a larger system, that larger system has a business model, okay? And your understanding of how this works can help you navigate the job, position, role, career track that you're looking for so you can understand how you play out in the larger system. We're also going to share about how you can take this business model canvas and we take two buckets and pull them out into what's called the value proposition canvas. For those in track one, your assignment is going to be to complete a business model canvas. If you're in track two, we're not asking you to do that. We're asking you to fill out a value proposition canvas, which takes the value proposition bucket and the customer segments bucket and matches them together to see about a product market fit. This is good for people who are in business, but we are asking our track two for the productivity track to turn this in as an assignment. When I say this, we haven't shared it yet. That's in another video. All right. I didn't say so. We're out of here. Let's go.